Wow, I know, it's been a long time. I have no excuse. I did not want to be gone for this long again. I was, suffice to say, I've been in a very unhealthy situation for quite a while that sapped a lot of my energy and motivation and time and creative power. So I'm not trying to make excuses, I'm just trying to offer an explanation for why I've been gone for so long yet again, and all I can say is I'm sorry. And thank you to anyone who is still watching. Your support means more to me than I'll ever be able to express with words. And I am going to try in this coming year to get back on a regular uploading schedule. But for now, let's dive back into Digimon Adventure 2020. I'm not gonna go through all the episodes. I'm just gonna catch up to the end of the Devimon arc, and then we're gonna go forward from there. Which is kind of good for me because my thoughts on the series were becoming a bit repetitive. Like, oh, the animation is great. It's so nice to see these characters realized with a higher budget. But, I'm glad that the story is different, but I am not as nearly as invested in the story as I was the first time around. And I find myself wondering, would I care about these characters if I didn't already know them from Adventure, if they weren't already established? I feel like Adventure 2020 is having some pacing problems. I feel like it's so heavy on the fighting. Not that every Digimon series doesn't have fighting, because it's a fantasy series, but there's fight after fight after fight, and then a fight ends and they can't catch their breath, and sometimes a big climactic fight ends and it's the end of the episode and they're already teasing the next fight, and it's like, oh gosh, are we gonna have a break? Like, even there was a bit of a breather episode with El Doradimon when they were falling out of the sky. It felt like this is supposed to be the breather between big action moments, but they still had to fight through that swarm of Mamemon. Could the Mamemon have been friendly? Could they have helped them find a way down to the water instead of, I don't know. It feels like too much fighting, and it feels like because there's so much fighting, the characters are not getting the chance to grow and develop, which one might argue is fine because we already know these characters. But therein lies the problem for me. Who is this series for? Who is it for? Is it for fans of the original series who are all grown up now and they just, here's a nostalgia trip, here's your favorite characters all again? Because if that's the case, it feels a bit simple for an anime supposedly aimed at adults. And if it's for kids, like a new audience of kids coming up, it feels too complicated. I genuinely don't know. If I was coming in fresh and I didn't know these characters, would I care about them? There's too much time fighting, there's too much time spent on exposition as well. And not of exposition of the world and the characters, but the conflicts. And the conflicts are getting repetitive. Oh no, there's something going on in the real world that's being caused by something in the digital world. We need to find that thing in the digital world and stop it, and then the real world would be fine. I liked that the first conflict was with the trains, because trains have such a symbolic meaning in Adventure. But the cell phones, everyone's cell phones overheating, and then what was it? The ships. When they got to the oil tankers and the big ships losing navigation and crashing into each other, I was like, I do not care. They spent so much time in that arc dealing with Koshiro explaining what the problem was with the ships and how he was going to fix it with the IRA, or I don't even remember the initials, but the GPS and the IRA and the and it's I don't care about this. What information is this relaying to me? Story it's showing that Koshiro is smart. Oh, good. there are better ways to get that information across. Koshiro's crest episode, I guess, was a good one. These crest episodes where they're activating the ultimate evolutions. That's another thing where they feel pretty weak. Some of them are good. Like, I liked Koshiro's. I liked that it was all about using his intelligence and his creativity and, you know, his powers of observation to, you know, manipulate the surroundings to fight for them, basically, in a battle that they were losing. That was a good episode. And I do like the higher budget because we're seeing Kabuterimon. I like it when characters with multiple arms can articulate with, like, both sets of arms at once, and you know, one set is like folded arms and one is gesturing or something. And they're doing that with Kabuterimon now, and it's so much fun, and I really love seeing that. So his episode was good. I really liked Joe's crest episode, because it was so natural. Like, he realized, okay, people are relying on me, I need to step up, and in that sense, it just felt like it fit. Yamato's crest episode, I'm calling them crest episodes because I don't know what else to call them. They already have, you know, the crests. They're just activating them. But do they know what they're doing? That's another thing. It's like the crests have meaning, but if you aren't familiar with them, they don't. Like, kids who are coming in fresh, who don't know that they're the crests of courage and friendship and knowledge, it's like, what does this mean to them when they see this symbol pop up and then the Digimon evolves? And Yamato's, I think, was the weakest one because, you know, there's that scene where they're all on the beach and they're running in slow motion and Yamato's advancing on the castle and he looks over his shoulder and he sees them all. He sees, like, Joe giving the thumbs up and Mimi waving, and that triggers his crest of friendship. And all I could think was, he has spent very little time with most of these characters. At that point, the only character he'd really spent time with was Taichi. And, you know, not to compare it to Adventure, but in the original series, Matt's, you know, activating his crest came kind of, you know, it was over the halfway point in the series where he had spent so much time with these characters, and we had gotten to know him and his trust issues, and he was starting to realize that he could let people in and he could trust them and he could rely on them, and he did consider them his friends. And that's what activated the crest of friendship, and that's what made it so powerful. And here, it's just like, these kids are strangers to him. It could be, in this case, that Yamato is so much of a lone wolf that even the idea of having people supporting him, behind him, was enough to activate the crest of friendship. But we don't know that. We're not learning anything about these characters. You know, we're, what, like 20, almost 30, 25 episodes in at this point, and we don't know. I'm trying to remember how much we knew about the characters at this point in Adventure. Like, they had teased at Koshiro's adoption storyline. I'm pretty sure we knew that Yamato and Takeru's parents were divorced, and we're not getting much of that. I did like seeing Mimi's family, and I did like the fact that her grandfather was there. Her grandfather wasn't even in the original series, but you know, with Tachikawa technology being everywhere, it seems like her grandfather is going to play a big part in the story, and that I like. Do something different, you know, bring something new to the table. But we've only seen him once, and he didn't even say anything. And I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because here now Takeru is part of the story, and it felt so weak. The whole story with Takeru and Angemon felt so flat. Again, I'm trying not to compare it to the original series because it's a new series, but I can't help it. I can't help it. These characters, they're spending too much time apart, is my feeling. and they're not getting the chance to establish their own characters and develop relationships, between all the characters. In Adventure, the kids were together for at least 9 episodes, I think, before they were split up and then came back together. In this series, they're being split up all the time. And Takeru didn't even show up in the story until he was magically called into the digital world, and then they had to save him. To the point where it feels like Takeru isn't even his own character, he's just Yamato's little brother. We care about him in that sense, but we don't care about him in the sense of him being his own character, if that makes sense. Like, we don't know him. We know him because we know the character from Adventure, but we don't know him in this series. I like that they're making Takeru an active protagonist. I felt like there wasn't much for him to do in the original series, and I did like the scene where he, feels he's being called, and he goes down and frees El Doradimon, and he helps with the fight in an active way. I did really like that. And I liked that Yamato kept praising him as opposed to just like being freaked out that he was in danger, because there was a lot of that in Adventure, and it started to get a little old. Yamato being so overprotective of Takeru. I like that in this one he's constantly like, good job, like praising him for being so brave. And along with Takeru, there's the problem of Patamon / Angemon. When Angemon died in the original series, it was probably one of the first like really iconic moments in the show. And again, we had spent time with him. We had spent however many episodes with Patamon being unable to digivolve and being insecure about that and feeling like he can't protect Takeru, and he finally is able to do it, only to realize that he has to basically give himself up in order for the battle to be won. And it meant something because we knew who he was. Whereas in this new series, he appears, he saves the day, and he's dead. And did he even say a word before he died? And then suddenly he's an egg. And what are we supposed to care about unless we already know the story? One thing that's interesting to me, at least, about Angemon is that in this story, Patamon seems to have Angemon's personality. Like, in the original series, Patamon was very cute and happy-go-lucky, and Angemon was all serious, but there was kind of a disconnect between the rookie and the champion, where I felt this way about all the Digimon in the first series, where it's like they're very childish in their child forms, and then in their adult forms they're very adult. They almost felt like different characters in that respect. So I do think it's interesting that in this series, Patamon seems a bit more wise and serious. It does sort of tie his two evolutions together. During the battle with Devimon, there was a moment, or it kept happening, where Devimon was calling Angemon his old friend. And they were like, oh, we're going to corrupt you, we're going to bring you down to darkness, you're going to go from being a holy Digimon to a Digimon of darkness. Okay, simple enough. Devimon is supposed to be a fallen Angemon. So yeah, that to me is interesting. The fact that Devimon kept calling him my old friend, and knowing the lore, knowing that Devimon is a fallen Angemon, is like, so what, in this story, are we going to learn that Devimon was an Angemon and alongside Takeru's partner? Were they old friends? And what happened to Devimon then? And that was intriguing to me, and we got none of it. We got none of it. We got the Dong Devimon, which was interesting, I suppose. I'm glad it was a new evolution, something we haven't seen before. And instead, we got the dark Digivolving with Greymon, which I'm glad that it was different. I'm glad that it wasn't Skull Greymon. It looked like Machine Dramon. Was it not Machine Dramon that Metal Greymon Dark Digivolved into this time? Which again I thought was interesting because very iconic character from the original series, one of the Dark Masters, and is that part of Agumon's line that Taichi was tapping into? And again, this idea of Digimon going feral. Okay, this new series seems to be borrowing a lot of elements from Tamers. This idea that the digital world exists in layers, that there's the layer that's closest to the real world, that's all data, and then there's a layer that's deeper, that's a more fantasy-looking world. The idea that Digimon kill and eat each other and absorb each other's data. It's weird to me that element is in here, because Tamers didn't even have the reincarnation. It was just, when a Digimon has died, their data gets absorbed, and the victorious Digimon becomes stronger. Okay, fine. But the reincarnation element is still here because Patamon was reincarnated. But at the same time, Digimon are getting destroyed for their data. Do they both exist? Is there a village of new beginnings in this world? What if a Digimon is not absorbed? Are they going to be reborn? These are the questions. Like, I want to know more about the world and not about oil tankers and how they work. So Taichi getting corrupted was very reminiscent of what happened with Takato in Tamers. He was upset because someone he cared about got hurt, and in this situation, it seems like Taichi was, he came in contact with the dark miasma, so he was corrupted. I do like that idea, that we never really saw the kids getting damaged in the original series, which sounds awful, but it's true. Like, we saw them getting hurt, but there was never an idea of, like, what happens. We knew that, like, if you die in the digital world, you really die. It's not like a video game. But between the dark miasma corrupting Taichi and Sora getting frozen by that ice, that, like, everlasting ice, I like the idea that the kids can get hurt and what that means for flesh and blood characters getting hurt in a world where everything is data. I like that that's being explored. It does seem to heighten the danger a little bit, without feeling like this is too edgy for kids. But yeah, Taichi going feral in this one, it was very reminiscent of Takato and not, Taichi in Adventure. And even, Metal Greymon becoming Machine Dramon. That was almost exactly like Guilmon losing his mind and becoming Megidramon. And I like Tamers. I love Tamers. Tamers is a great series. This feels kind of like it's trying to blend the two of them, which is interesting. I need to know where it's going. There are plenty of things that I'm enjoying about the reboot. Again, the animation is amazing. I love the music. I like that they're trying new things, like with Metal Greymon and Where Garurumon getting, like, upgrades, like the wings and the new weapon arm. Like, those are cool. I love, this seems like a weird thing to praise, but yeah, I love the opening and the closing songs. They've been so, I love the music and I love the animation. This past closing theme was so adorable. I couldn't get over it. And the new one is so cute too, with Mimi and Palmon. Mimi, I think, is my favorite part of the reboot. I love her. I'm just getting a kick out of seeing her and seeing her interactions with all the other kids and Palmon. I am not happy with what they're doing to Joe's character. They seem to have dumbed him down quite a bit, made him a dunce and a joke character, and I hate that, because Joe has always been one of my favorites. And yeah, he did not like confrontation, and he spooked easily, but he was not a coward, and he didn't have these, like, delusions of, oh, I'm the leader, but actually not, and I don't like it. The moments where Joe is getting to shine are nice, and again, Gobamon will always be my favorite, but it's frustrating. Next time I want to talk more about Hikari, because she's super creepy in this reboot, and I'm not crazy about it. But again, I'm trying to just enjoy it for what it is. You know, if I wanted the original series, I could just pop on the original series and watch that, and this is not that. And so far I am enjoying it for what it is. I do think the story and the characters could be a lot stronger, and therein lies my problem, because the original series, yeah, maybe the animation wasn't the best, and it was a cheap show with a low budget, but the story and the characters were so strong, and in this reboot, it's the animation and the look of it that is the best part of it, where the story and the characters are falling a little flat, and maybe it's because, it's a series that relies on nostalgia. You know who these characters are, so we don't have to spend time building up their stories and their personalities. And that's just frustrating to me. So I'm hoping going forward that we do get more of that great personality and that great heart that the original series had. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. What's your favorite part of this reboot? Are you as disappointed as I am about all the lack of character development? And what are you hoping to see going forward? I'm really excited to see who the next arc will be. I have a feeling the next villain is not going to be Edimon, because Devimon was so iconic, and Edimon was just kind of odd. I would like to see a different villain, and maybe something more tied into the lore of the world than with the Holy Digimon and Devimon. That would be interesting, but I am still interested in seeing where it's gonna go, I guess we'll put it that way. And so yeah, thank you so much for watching. Give a like if you liked, subscribe if you want to, leave a comment if you would like, telling me what your thoughts are on this new reboot, and I will catch you guys next time. Take care.